Doors Floor 2 came out recently, and I thought it was pretty good, you know. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with me on that, but I thought it was pretty fun despite the grind it took me to beat it on my first try. Anyway, this floor gave me a new look on the previous as well as this floor's major encounters, so that's what I'm doing today. I'll be ranking all of Doors' major encounters. What do I count as a major encounter, you might wonder? Well, I'm including all the Figure and Seek encounters, all the Hold encounters, Grumble's Nest, and the Greenhouse from Floor 1. Got that all down? Cool, because let's get started. Also, I should put a spoiler warning here since Floor 2 is pretty new and many might not have run into the encounters on this floor. Alright, let's go on to number 14. This is only on the list because someone might complain that it is missing, but Figure in the Chasm only exists to reintroduce the player to the figure. So why bring it up? Because it is the only room where there's no risk of dying to the main entity. The figure is completely harmless here because he can never reach you and you can never reach him. The design of this room is pretty cool. I like the whole chasm aspect to it. Seeing the figure come out the pipeline is also pretty funny as well, but there's nothing noteworthy to talk about here, so let's just move on. Out of everything we'll talk about today, this is by far the most basic an encounter gets. You walk through the door containing this room, the figure is on the other side of the gate, and you use all the strats from the previous two encounters to bypass him. The only thing you need to do is make it across the room. Design wise, there really isn't anything special here. The only reason to remember this room is because the figure is here. The only noteworthy thing about this encounter as well is how short it is. You can beat this in under 30 seconds on an average run. Wrapping up the main antagonist's final encounter in Floor 2, we have Figure in the Generator Room. The room itself isn't anything special, as it looks exactly the same as other Floor 2 rooms before it. But I have placed it here because the generator puzzle isn't as brain-dead as walking to one side of the room to the other while dodging the figure. I know I'm not saying too much about these rooms, but there's only so many times I can talk about the same encounter and try to make it sound different. So let's just go talk about something more interesting now. Slightly more interesting than Floor 2 figure, we have Holt. When you enter this room, you are tasked with walking through Holt's mineshaft with many twists and turns, small crawling spaces to duck through, and even a minecart to push. This is all pretty cool and all, but it takes quite a while to do this, and the design of this room and the length of the encounter are my only gripes with it. It looks very similar to other rooms from this floor, so sometimes I don't notice it's Holt until I'm crawling through the vent. Anyway, this update did give us a better Holt chase anyway, so let's talk about that now. In the Mines update, Elsplash and the team actually updated Holt's chase from the basic hall we're all too familiar with to the brand new dining hall, and I actually really like it. However, it still functions the same as the previous, except without all the twists and turns, the crawling space, and the minecart puzzle. Why did I rank it higher if the former has more variety in the gameplay? I think I just like that this room expands the hotel more, as we now know what it looks like to eat at the hotel. Honestly, I think my opinion on both could change based on the day you asked me. The final chase in Floor 2 is the weakest of the 4 Seek chases. I think my biggest problem with it is the tunnels. Sometimes it's easy to lose guiding light in the tunnels quite easily and go the wrong way. And then if, you get lost too deep, you'll probably end up dying to how aggressive Seek ends up being in this chase. Anyway, the design, like the chase before it, represents the area you've previously explored. It all looks very nice. However, to follow up on the amazing first chase in this floor, this is a disappointing follow-up. I think that if there had been a more unique ending that had led into the dam more fluidly, then it would probably be higher on the list. On an average run of doors, you'll run into a long stretch of doors from room 90 to 99. This is known as the Greenhouse, the final test of the player's skill. No revives and a slew of enemy attacks from Rush, Eyes, Screech, Snare, and, as of the Mines update, Dupe. This barrage of attacks will leave you cowering in front of every cupboard waiting for a Rush to attack while also not looking at Eyes and paying attention to Screech. But you've also got to be checking the floor for snare to appear, and you've got to make sure you can see the next room through the next room door to keep an eye out for dupe. This all sounds like quite a lot, which might be overwhelming, but for the best and most consistent way to do it is to take your time. And when entering a new room, head for a closet and wait there for about 15 seconds. Repeat that process and you'll be fine. The only reason I don't enjoy the greenhouse as much is it can get tedious doing it so many times. The design, however, is amazing. The detail in each room. I think I might do a separate video to cover every room's strengths and weaknesses. Anyway. The introduction to Seek, I think, is a very well done one. After passing through Seek's crescendo, the player will encounter Seek as he emerges from the ground and gives chase. You are then tasked with running away from him. You must duck through small spaces, guess the right path and dodge Seek's hands, as well as the burning chandeliers. This sounds great, right? Well, since it's here, I do have a complaint. I think it's too short. Just as the chase gets going, it just ends. I kinda wished it was a little longer. Get comfortable with Seek because it's certainly not his last appearance today. A brand new encounter with a huge hulking monster that closely resembles Screech? Yeah, I'm down for that. Door 150 features a player trundling on a minecart through the campus when a huge noise rings out and the Green Grumble notices you and begins to chase after you. After making it to the radar station, your objective is very clear. Activate all the nodes in the nest and escape. This won't be so easy, however, as there are about 3 Grumbles that roam the fairly large map. This leads to a lot of waiting around for Grumbles to leave, giving you an easy path through. I found that areas with one way in and out tend to be more tedious to reach. However, Grumbles do not one-shot. They actually deal 55 damage and lots of knockback, as well as stunning the player for a few seconds after being launched back. Now, why is this here and not closer to something like Halt? Well, there are some easy strategies that can be applied to your run to aid you in evading Grumbles. A good way to ensure a safe path through is to lure a Grumble to a place that will take him a while to turn around and book it away from the Grumble. Other things you can do is to shine your light to slow them down, abuse the knockback provided by the first attack from a Grumble to get to a safe spot, use these planks here to return from the left side of the map and pay attention to where the radar is pointing to locate the next node. This is especially helpful if you've memorized all the node locations. I like this room, although the Grumbles tend to be too annoying to place any lower. I think I've been quite generous to this fight, but I really like almost everything about it though. The music, the atmosphere, the difficulty, it's all perfect. However, there are just a few small issues that rob this encounter from its well-deserved top 3 spot. Before that though, let's give a summary of events. After the disappointing chase through the sewers from Seek, the player enters a huge dam reservoir. After a short while, the room fills with black goop from Seek and a huge blob of Seek appears. The player is then able to run and jump again, so they must jump across the rubble to get to a few valves and activate them. As more valves are pulled, the black goop is drained lower until Seek is eventually flushed away and the player can now activate the generator at the very bottom, which reveals a ladder to the surface. First, the dam being the final area of the game is such a unique place for the mines to end. I think a lot of the attacks are well thought out and the parkour can be really fun. This is, of course, until you fall in the goop and get stuck for no reason. It also sucks when the hands fling you out of bounds, effectively ending a run unless you can quickly navigate off the map and use glitch to get back in bounds. Getting stuck in the goop tends to be run ending due to most platforms being too high to jump back onto. If these problems weren't here, I'd be happy to place this in the top 3. A classic. This is the first true Doors boss fight and it does unironically slap quite hard. When entering door 49, the player is greeted with a new interior. This features a desk and quite the sizable door. A unique item known as the alarm clock is available here, where it is quite useful for luring the figure to a certain location, leaving you a safe path through. Entering the door, the player is introduced to the figure and we learn his mechanic when he runs to a noise made by guiding light. You are then tasked with grabbing the 8 books around the library and the paper on the desk, while also avoiding the figure. Once all the books have been located, a code can be made from the numbers gathered from the books and inserted into the giant lock in order to escape. The figure also speeds up over time when each book is collected, making for a frantic but quite fun search for all the books. This is a very well done boss fight, as Figure's gameplay works in a much larger map than the previous, with plenty of flank routes that both the player and the figure can take. pretty much all my complaints with the first chase are gone now, as this chase is entirely compromised with the multi-path section. This makes it quite a thrill to keep checking each door when you enter a new room, to make sure that it is the right door that you're running for. This chase is also now 2 doors longer, which is definitely, it's not perfect, but it does make it much better, I think. There really isn't much to say here, so let's just move on. As we arrive in the top 2, I gotta hand it to them. After making it pretty damn easy figuring how to pre-Hotel Plus, they really went out of their way to make an improvement in every single way. Anyway, where was I? After running through the greenhouse, the player runs into the electrical room at the back of the hotel. Opening the big door, the figure reappears and gives chase to the player. The player is then tasked with finding all the nodes for the electrical puzzle, as well as locating the key. Unless, of course, you have a lockpick that you can use. Once everything has been located, you must head into the electrical room and place all the nodes into the fuse box. The figure is then taking a nice walk before he sets himself on fire and jumps out of the nearby window. Clearly the best strat of all time. Upon solving the puzzle, the figure reappears in a small room next to you, and you have to make a mad dash to the elevator to escape the figure. This is basically Door 50 again, but more intense and really works as a final challenge of the hotel. I also really like the look of the electrical room. It even plays into the gameplay where it's quite dark and you have to pay attention to where the figure is going so you don't bump into him. When this update came out, I saw a lot of people not liking the floor for multiple reasons, but you cannot beat the pure quality of the first Seek chase in the mines. It starts out like any other chase before it. Seek appears and you need to run away from him, except now he can jump. This is such a small detail, but introduced very well and coordinated as well. There are more choices in the multiple paths now, and rocks are falling everywhere. Upon bashing open door number 145, the player jumps across a gap but then falls after a plank they were holding onto gives out, and they fall into a minecart provided by Guiding Light themselves. Now the chase continues in the minecart. You don't need to now worry about running around, but now you have to still pick the paths, and you've also got to crouch on coming obstacles as well. Keep at it and eventually you'll make it through. This is just peak doors right here. The jumping may feel off at times, but once you get used to it, it really adds to the flair of the chase. Guiding Light will also be your best friend here, as they'll give you the correct pathway every single time. Wow, that was a fun one. I actually enjoyed the second floor and it made me want to talk about doors again. Well, this is the first time I've actually made a script for a video and released the video, so I hope you enjoyed the difference in content this time. Make sure to like and subscribe on your way out if you enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna head out now, work on my next video. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Work on video, just get the outro going. Still yapping over here, you can leave now.